There we go. So let's start again. Chag Sukkot Sameach, everyone, which means happy holiday of Sukkot. And I'm sorry for the noise. I have my windows open and there's going to be fire engines and ambulances and all that stuff. So I'm sorry about that, but here we go.
Part of life. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Loving it, local.
So I'd like to wish everybody a happy new year. So why don't we take a couple of minutes and just go around town there and see how everybody has been. So Rena, you're always the first one here. So we're going to start with you. How are you? How was your holiday and how have you been?
I am good. And I've been well. And I even had a little vacation. I visited some friends in Rhode Island. Near a beach, so it was very nice.
Beautiful.
So,
and Doris Kramer, how have you been?
Just fine, thank you, Rabbi. I see my daughter a couple of times a week because she has a puppy dog and she likes me to help her out with him. So that's fun. And I go to Bryant Park Jazz Piano, 12:30 to 2:30, Monday through Friday. There's a different jazz pianist. And then I go to the WCHJ.com website and I read what's in there, and that's wonderful. And I read all about the holiday, the Sukkot.
Good.
Wrote that. Really appreciate that, and your meditations that you sent to us.
Thank you.
So yes, you're a big help.
Thank you. Lois, you are muted, so I don't know if you can unmute yourself. There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
And we see your eyes and half of your nose.
Oh, okay. I'll fix it. I'll adjust it.
But then again, we're used to seeing everybody's eyes and half of their nose all day long.
You're going the other way.
Yeah, I'll try and fix it.
Okay. So how have you been?
It's good, and it's so nice to be back. I haven't seen all of you for a very long time. I'm trying to get rid of the glare. That's the only problem with all this. Well, thank you. It's nice to be back. I am a member of the Yorktown Jewish Center, which just closed because we don't have enough members. I don't know if you've all heard about that. So, and I do love your group. So I'm trying to split my time when I can between all of you, and wherever any of us end up, which is somewhere, we'll be somewhere in Westchester County, I guess.
Well, we're no matter where we go, we're all one family. So you always feel, no matter what synagogue it is or what community, we're all one people and we're all brothers and sisters. So you always feel welcome here.
Thank you. I have always enjoyed being with you, and especially when it was in person.
Yeah, right. Diane, how are you been?
Knock wood, everything is good. My kids are good, and luckily we're all wearing masks in Westchester County, and most people have gotten the vaccine, so we are very fortunate.
Good.
Thank you.
Diane Steinfink, how are you?
I'm good. The holidays are not what they used to be, but I've adjusted. I enjoyed Rosh Hashanah. How was Yom Kippur? Sorry, it was just too far, too late to get to. How was Yom Kippur?
Well, we had a minion.
Okay.
It was very intimate.
sorry.
Very intimate. All right. Well, I'm sorry to miss it. And it actually turned out to be a crazy day, but you just learn to adjust with the times and be happy for whatever is, as long as we're healthy. That's the most important thing. And so far, because I've been around quite a few people, which makes me a little nervous, but as of right now, I seem to be healthy and as usual, very busy.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I guess we filmed Ruth playing her Kol Nidre on the piano.
Well,
So
Barbara said that, but I never saw it. How
Yeah.
come I didn't see it?
You could, it's,
Send it to you. It's on
you know,
YouTube.
so, yeah, it's on YouTube. So,
Oh, well, I don't go to YouTube, so could somebody send me that in
I
an
will.
email?
yeah, Dimitri will send it to you.
I would
Thank you.
like that. Thank you.
Me too, Dimitri, if you don't mind. That would be wonderful. Send it to me too, because I Googled a whole bunch of Kol Nidres. I love the cello. I love the cello with it too.
Well, Ruth did a beautiful, beautiful job with it.
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
The best I think I've ever heard her play it. So we really were very blessed. with
Me too.
Murray, and how are you guys doing? Did you unmute?
We're doing well. We're keeping healthy, and we're being cautious as to our social life and all that. The pandemic is forcing us to do that.
Yeah.
So we are safe in what we do as best as we can, right?
Yeah.
Joyce, you want to say something?
Oh, no, I agree. You know, we just have to be careful and hope soon it'll all be over and we'll get back to normal.
Yes.
Be nice.
Yeah, it's
Normal.
really good to see Murray and Joyce. It's really good to see you guys. It
It's
really.
wonderful to see you too.
Although I'm not religious, I always do a Yom Kippur fast. And
Okay.
it was better than usual, and I think it's so I'm feeling always better every year.
Yeah.
You look good. I'll tell you.
You know-
Find out your secret.
You know what? No matter how you look at it, it's always good to just not eat for a day. I mean,
Yeah.
especially since we put on all this weight.
I read a story in the New York Times about a chaplain in Harvard. He's a Jewish chaplain, but he's atheist really, and he wrote a book called Good Without God.
Yes.
And he was voted in to be the coordinator of all the chaplains at Harvard. It was an
Yeah.
interesting article
That's
about
interesting.
about 2 months ago.
Yeah. I know Greg. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, you know him?
He's one of our rabbis.
Ah,
Wow.
okay.
Wow.
He doesn't use the title rabbi because he's a humanist chaplain. So he's all the humanists there. But he is one of ours.
Well, rabbi is really a teacher.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
You mean he's an ordained rabbi, actually?
I'm sorry?
Is he an ordained
Yeah.
rabbi?
Yes.
You're ordained.
Yes.
You're ordained.
probably the reform.
Yeah, probably reform.
Association. Yeah, he's one of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time we had a convention meeting, he was one of the keynote speakers, and he was really so captivating. He's really, really good. He's really good. So, and his book is fabulous as well. So
Can you repeat the name of his book again?
it's called Good Without God.
Oh, okay.
Greg Epstein is his name.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's very interesting. Great. Yeah.
And Ruth, we just were talking about you. We're talking about your beautiful music for Yom Kippur. You know, I was up on the stage. I told Ruth, I mentioned I was on that stage there, and they have a rocking chair on the stage, you know, behind the pulpit.
Oh.
And during the, Old Nidre, I was able to just sit on that rocking chair and close my eyes and listen to that beautiful music. It was such a beautiful meditation, and thank you so much for that, and for not just for that, for everything you do. It's such a blessing for us. Okay, is anybody else? Tafel, I see you're always with us. You're muted, but anyway, we know you're here, and we did read your names at the NIC score, and so and we love you. We love to see you in person soon. And did I miss anybody else?
You missed me, Barbara.
Barbara. So how are you doing, Barbara?
I'm fine. I'm sorry I didn't get to the Yom Kippur service. I did see Ruth's playing on the link from Dimitri, but
Good.
what I thought was, did you record it during the service? Because there didn't seem to be anybody in the audience.
No, in that section there was no, but in the middle there were. That's what it was.
Because there really wasn't too many people in the audience.
You probably thought it was a rehearsal.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because I went back to it and I said, no, I just don't see anybody.
Well, you know, in all fairness, that room is so big, you know, that then if you have, you know, like when we had Rosh Hashanah, we had about 25 people there, you know, and it even, you know, 25 people in a smaller space would look okay. You know,
Yeah.
you know, so when you have 10 or 11 people, I try to, you know, to sit around so that it would look like we had more people there than we did, but whatever.
I would also like to say, I don't think I've ever met Doris or
There's more
Lois.
people. That's
Oh,
right.
yes.
And have they been to any of the events that I have attended, or who? Anyhow, I'll just say hello. Nice
Well,
to meet you.
Doris is from my other congregation in New York.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
She likes to zoom in with us sometimes when we have our services. So, and then Lenore, are you still there? Lenore? I don't know. Okay. All right, well, we'll see. And who else is here? Aaron? We don't see you and we don't hear you. So if you want to say something to us, which would be
I
nice.
think
you
it's
can-
okay, because if you have, let's say, 30 participants, then if everybody takes 5 minutes, you know, it's almost going to be tomorrow before we start the service.
Okay. All right, well, let's get going. So does everyone have a copy of the service?
No, I didn't
No.
know there was.
Are we supposed to have the service?
You can, yeah,
It's optional.
it was available to be downloaded in Dimitri's invitation. So it's okay. We can just sit and listen, and then if you have any questions, we'll go over it. So we'll start with the opening, and the opening, we have we start with Venu. Hashki Venu is the blessing that we say before we go to sleep. This is the evening blessing. And so, and in this Hashki Venu, they actually in Hebrew, they mention the word sukkah, which is a shelter, tabernacle. So may we lie down in peace and be awakened again to a full and complete life. May we always dwell underneath the sukkah of peace, and may our lives be ever enriched by good experiences and deep and lasting relationships. So now we'll light the candles. Each year, the festival of Sukkot is greeted by a full moon, almost as if the heavens were shining a great light on this special day. We were driving home from the Poconos on Sunday night, and the moon wasn't quite full, but I have to tell you, it was one of the most beautiful moons I've ever seen. It was so clear and big, and it was just, I said, Michael, don't take your eyes off the road, because he was looking at the moon, you know, but for you.
It was even better than the harvest moon that they made such a big deal about. And I said, oh my God, the night before it was just just gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's actually our holidays start on full moon. So for one of my traditions that I've done for years and years is on the night of Passover, I have to take a walk outside and I have to look at the moon, you know. In New York, it's harder in the city, but if you're out, you know, where you guys are, or, you know, we were in the mountains, it's much easier to see that. It's just so wonderful. But anyway, so I will light the candles, which are behind me. So I don't know if you can see them. Can you see them? Maybe not.
No.
Hold on.
Ah, there they
There
are.
they are.
You
You
got
see
'em?
them?
Yes.
There are the candles. Okay, so at least you saw them. And with light, the world lives. With light, let us bless life. To feel its warmth, to share its beauty, to make possible enlightenment, to create a world for all, a better world. Let us create the heavenly on earth. Let us empower ourselves with freedom in this world. We make ourselves whole as we gather together to light the light of this special day. And then the next section is the Shema Israel. Shema Israel. For everything there is a season, a right time for every intention under heaven, a time to plant, a time to uproot. The cycle of the festivals moves on, and in the fall, we begin to look toward winter and consider changing our lives. Shema Yisrael, listen, Israel, let us be attentive to the meditations of our hearts, and let us be thankful for all of our precious gifts. Let us remember those who are not now with us. Let us invite into the shelter of our sukkah those who go without. So we have song Hine Matov. Would maybe Ruth and Dimitri and Olga, if you would sing that, and then everybody else would mute themselves so we can hear the song. I think Dimitri is doing that. Okay.
Oh, Ruth is offline. So it's going to be all the mean.
Okay.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Thank you. How wonderful it is for brothers and sisters to dwell in unity. Jewish holidays and rituals are meant to give deeper dimension to our lives. During the high holidays, we revisited our connections to both our inner selves and to each other. During Sukkot, we unite our ancient history with our present, and we experience our connection to the natural world. Our tradition has developed a custom of celebrating the harvest at this time of the year with great rejoicing. And from the book of Exodus in the Bible, celebrate next the festival of harvest, the first fruits of your efforts sowing in the field. Sukkot, Passover, and Shavuot were originally agricultural festivals. Sukkot marks the fall harvest when the ancient Israelites gave thanks for the bounties of the season. During the period of the gathering of crops, the harvesters would dwell in a makeshift hut called a sukkah. There are at least 10 references to Sukkot in the Bible. It was considered one of the most important holiday periods of the year. And in Jewish tradition, Sukkot is the holiday when the Messiah is supposed to come back to earth. Okay, so and we use the palm, the lulav, the palm and the lulav. And many religious scholars believe that when I'm going off the Jewish topic a little bit and going into the Christian topic, some of the followers of Jesus believed that he was the Messiah. And so when they greeted him when he came into Jerusalem with palms on Palm Sunday, you know, that was actually the holiday of Sukkot, because that would make sense. Because for them, he was the Messiah, and the Messiah was supposed to come during Sukkot. So that's why they were waving the palm branches. People don't realize that that was the case. We would, if people understood these connections with the different holidays, there would be less, I guess, prejudice in the world, but there we go. So the Torah relates, but on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered the produce of the land, you are to observe a festival for 7 days. The first day is to be a complete rest, and the 8th day is to be a complete rest. On the first day, you are to take choice fruit, palm fronds, thick branches, and river willows, and celebrate with them for 7 days. You are to live in Sukkot for 7 days. Every citizen of Israel is to live in a sukkah, generation after generation. So the sukkah has a couple of different references in the Bible. One of them is during the 40 years wandering of the Israelites in the desert, you know, when they were looking for, led by Moses, and they would be wandering around in this desert. And at night, they didn't really have shelter, so they would bring these portable shelters, these tents or whatever with them. And then the other thing is when they would harvest in the fields. Now, I know a little bit about this personally because when I was younger, I went to visit my family in Italy, and they lived in, you know, in an agricultural place, but the people themselves lived in a town. They weren't like Americans where they had big farmhouses, you know, with their land around them. They all lived in a town. And then when they would go out to harvest, they would go outside of the town and they would harvest whatever it was they were harvesting. But because sometimes it took too long to get from their place where they were harvesting back to the town, they would build actually little huts and tents and stuff like that, and they would eat there. And they would build what they would call a pergola. Do you know what a pergola is? It's like it's a shelter with sometimes wood slats on it, and then they would put branches and stuff, and it would shelter them from the sun. And they would eat under there. They would have a long table, and they would cook their pasta on the big pot, and then they would eat under there. And that's how it was. So when you have a sukkah, it's made exactly the same way. You have the 4 poles, and then you have I forget the exact Hebrew term for that, but it's like wooden slats that go over the top. And then you could put branches and stuff on that. I remember when I was a kid in the city, if you would go through the Jewish neighborhoods, you would see all of the Jews making these little sukkahs on their fire escapes. You know, they would put them out there, and they would sleep under there, and they would eat their meals under there. And it was kind of fun to actually see, you know, a big apartment building, and there was a sukkah on each of the fire escapes there. So, but unfortunately, a lot of us now don't even see a sukkah, you know. So in some of the big Jewish communities, they might erect a sukkah in the, you know, on the property of the synagogue, and then invite people to go. And if you're around during the day, you bring your lunch under there. You're supposed to have at least one meal under the sukkah. And during the and we read a little bit about this on Rosh Hashanah. During the time of the Holocaust, the Jews would try and observe the holidays as best as they could, and sometimes they would use old oil drums or something to make a little temporary shelter. And they would have to spend some time in it. And the rabbi said, even if you spend at least 1 minute in the sukkah, you have fulfilled the mitzvah that you were supposed to do. So have any of you ever seen that, the sukkahs on the fire escapes, or have eaten yourself in a sukkah? Yeah. You might be muted.
Yes, we have,
Yeah, I remember driving through Brooklyn once and seeing the sukkah on the fire escapes. It was very impressive and very sweet.
Yeah.
And I also, my son, who has nothing to do with religion now, I still remember when he was about 8 or 9 years old, he and a friend built a sukkah on our, what was then a little porch. Later it was turned into a room, but, I was just gonna text him and ask him if he remembered that.
Oh, that's a nice memory.
Nada.
Anyone else?
I lived in Brooklyn all my boyhood until I've never seen anyone have a sukkah on a fire escape. For one thing, it would be a fire violation, and they would have to take it down immediately.
Yeah, I think on the Lower East Side, people were a lot less inclined to obey the fire laws as they are in other parts of the city. Anyone else?
Rabbi, I saw one in front of the 42nd Street Library one year.
And right now on the property of Burke Rehab Hospital right here in White Plains is a big sukkah. And they have their patients there for a service the first night of the sukkahs.
Yeah. In Michael's building on 43rd Street on the Manhattan Plaza, they build a sukkah. Yeah, one day they invited me to go and say the blessings. So I did humanistic blessings for them. They were just happy that someone was there to do that. Anyway, so let's go on. If you have the service, it's on the bottom of page 3. So the creation of the lulav satisfies the biblical injunction to gather the various natural components on the festival of Sukkot and to celebrate with them. So the lulav is composed of what they call the 4 species, or arba'at haminim. And they are, and I'll show them to you now. So we have a lulav for your viewing pleasure. And the first thing is an Esrog, or etrog in Hebrew. Esrog is in Yiddish. And it's a citron, a large lemon-like fruit. So you see this? This is an Esrog. looks like a lemon. It smells like a lemon, but it has a very thick skin. Has anyone ever eaten one of these?
Where'd you get it?
Well, we order these special before Sukkot. Our congregations get advertisements to buy them, so you can buy them. You can order them in a Jewish bookstore anyway.
On
So-
Amazon.com.
I'm sorry.
On Amazon.
Amazon, you can get them on Amazon. Yeah, and they send them to you. So this is an Esrog. Now, usually there's not much pulp inside. It's mainly skin. It's a very thick skin. And in Europe, in the Mediterranean, people use this to make candy. So what they'll do is they will cut this into little dice, and they would candy it with sugar syrup, and then they would put it in various things. So sometimes they'll put it in cannoli, or put it in different things like that. Put it in ice cream, you know. So that's what this is. And
I used an Esrog once to flavor vodka.
yeah, you can flavor vodka with this, of course. Yeah. Yeah. That's,
is it green and gold?
and this, and then you have the lulav itself, which is basically the palm. See, it looks like a palm, and it's very straight. And then you have the hadass, which is the branch of the myrtle tree. The hadass is this, you see, it looks like little eyes, you know. And then you have the arava, which is the willow tree, which is basically good for nothing but making problems with your septic system. And that's the weeping willow. You know, when you see weeping willow trees, they look beautiful, but they're full of bugs, and their roots go and they go around your septic tanks and stuff like that. So anyway, so the lulav, hadass, and arava are gathered in one hand, in your right hand like this, and the etrog in the other, and they are shaken in 4 directions. Now, in order, of course, we have a lot of rules and laws about everything, right? So if you buy a Esrog from Amazon or from any place, and you look at the fruit, it's got to have this little thing at the end there. You see that? See this little thing? See that? If it doesn't have that, it's not kosher. Why? Okay, why, you may ask? All fruit is kosher. You know, any kind of fruit and vegetables are kosher. You know, before you cook them. After you cook them, it depends on how you cook them. They might be kosher or not. But before you cook them raw, everything is kosher. But the reason why this is not considered kosher once this thing is broken off is because if you use it for Sukkot, this represents your heart. And it's held, it looks like a heart, you see, and it's held in your left hand because the left side is where your heart is. And this little doohickey thing on the bottom, that represents the arteries that goes to your, you know, so it represents the blood pumping in you to make you alive. So that's why it's considered kosher, not to have it. So when you use it, you have to take the lulav like this, and you have to take the esrog like this, and you hold it together, and you have to shake it in the 4 directions: front, back, one side, the other side, down, and up. Okay? So look at me when I'm doing it. So it'd be up, down, one way, the other way, front, and back. So if you don't have your own lulav and you would like to do this, what you need to do is you need to come into New York City and take a walk in on any street, and you'll find little 13-year-old boys dressed up like, in their black hats, and they'll stop everybody and they'll say, "You Jewish?" And if you say yes, "Did you do the mitzvah?" And if you said no, then they would put a little yarmulke on you and they would make you do the mitzvah. They make you shake the lulav, and then you're all kosher for the holiday. So, so now these, the lulav, the hadas, the arava are gathered in one hand, the esrog in the other, and they are shaken like we just did in the 4 directions. Throughout the Jewish tradition, the rabbis offered many explanations of the meaning of the lulav. The 3 most popular are the following, and these are called midrashim. Midrashim means a little story that illustrates, a fact. So, and I kind of like this one a lot. It says the 4 species represent the 4 different types of Jews in the world. The Esrog is the most important of the species. It's the heart, since it possesses both taste and fragrance. Okay, so you can taste it and you can smell it. It represents Jews who have both knowledge and good deeds. So one is, what taste is for fragrance, and good deeds is for knowledge. And so the dates of the palm tree, so we're talking about the dates now, the fruit of the palm tree, not the palm itself. The dates of the palm tree have taste, but no fragrance. So you can taste them, but you really don't smell them much. And they represent Jews with knowledge, but who are lacking in good deeds. We know a lot of people that they know a lot of stuff, but they don't really do any, they don't act on it much. And then the myrtle has fragrance, but no taste. So you can smell the myrtle, but you can't taste it. So it represents Jews who do good deeds, but lack knowledge. So someone who, they might be very nice and do a lot of good deeds, but in our tradition, they also have to study and learn too. What you can't separate one from the other. And then having neither taste nor fragrance, but actually being useless is what they're saying, is the willow branch, represents Jews who are without knowledge and good deeds. So the Midrash concludes that with the understanding that when bound together as a people, the Jews who are more virtuous will complement those who lack the virtues. So it represents, when you hold it together like this, it represents all of us together. Whether we do good deeds, whether we study, whether we don't study, it doesn't really matter. We're all one people. The second one is also kind of cool. So in this midrash, we learn that each of the species corresponds to a part of the human body, associating them by shape. So the esrog we talked about before represents the heart. The hadas looks like eyes, little eyes. The arava, the willow, looks like the mouth. And the lulav itself is like the spine. So the interesting thing is that the most useless of all the 4 species, the willow, is the part of the body that could do the most damage, is your mouth, right? So the Midrash says that every part of ourselves should be devoted to the practice of doing good deeds. And then we have one more Midrash. It says that the third Midrash says that each of the 4 species requires rain to thrive. And with our gathering of them all, we show gratitude for our past welfare and demonstrate our hope for coming year of goodness and prosperity. So do we have any questions, any comments? Does anybody want to say anything?
I'm just a little confused about the Palms and Palm Sunday, but we're not even near Palm Sunday.
Okay, so that's a very good question, because in the Bible, very often when there were wars, which there were many wars, the holidays may be interrupted. And what we used to do is we used to move them around to celebrate them when we could. So the idea of moving the holidays around was kind of a normal thing. The reason why we celebrate Hanukkah when we do with 8 days is because one year the festival of Sukkot couldn't be celebrated because of a war. So they transposed the day. So isn't, it's the 8 days that's important. All of them have the 8-day celebration, the Passover and the especially Sukkot. And these were considered pilgrim holidays. In other words, people would go to Jerusalem to worship in the temple on these holidays. So that's why they were so long, 8 days, for people to actually walk to these holidays. And then if you were in, like for Passover, during that time, you would buy your lamb, and then the priest would slaughter the lamb ritually, so you would have it for your celebration. So that's why. So it wasn't unusual. And if these people thought it was the Messiah, then they thought, well, then this is really the real Sukkot, because that's the Messiah, you see? So we should celebrate it then. But it's kind of an interesting understanding of where our holidays come from. And also the other interesting thing is that the pilgrims did not believe in celebrating any Christian holidays. They didn't celebrate Christmas, they didn't celebrate Easter. The only holidays they believed in celebrating were what they called the biblical holidays. And Sukkot was considered a biblical holiday. And so they figured out, maybe not on the Jewish calendar, but they figured out that the time for celebrating this Sukkot is at the time of the harvest, because it's a harvest festival. So our holiday of Thanksgiving is also linked to the holiday of Sukkot, biblically too. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, cool. Anybody else? Oh, you're all such good students. All right, so here we have a psalm for Sukkot. This is written by a woman by the name of Debbie Perlman, she has passed away, but she has written a little book of psalms, and they are, for the most part, secular psalms. And this one is for Sukkot. It's called A Psalm for Sukkot. And it goes like this. Red, crisp apples of autumn, shiny and stemmed, heaped to fill a basket. Orange gourds swinging by crooked necks, graceful as swans, inedible and inscrutable. Yellow swirl of leaves, yellow fragrant etrog, yellow corn. Green boughs above our head, hiding and revealing cool and blue skies. Indigo twilight wraps around us, gathered in this fragile structure, purple wine and chewy bread. Colored paper chains, rainbows of color, promise of renewal. These are the gifts of this
season.
So this is a beautiful, I know for me, autumn is my favorite season. I love autumn very much. And I think its nature is just so magnificently displayed during this season. It's hard not to feel the awe of life. So the traditional psalm, this is written by Nancy Wood, who also wrote secular psalms, and this is an adaptation of Psalm 121. 120 is a traditional.
Do you want us to read when it says all?
Do you have the? I don't think you had the.
Well, I clicked. It was on the screen. I clicked on the screen and it opened.
Okay, all right. If you
I
can read.
posted the link in the chat.
Magic.
You could all where it says all.
Okay.
My help is in the mountain where I take myself to heal the earthly wounds that people give to me.
I find a rock with sun on it and a stream where water runs gentle and the trees which one by one give me company.
So I must stay for a long time until I have grown from the rock.
And the stream is running through me and I cannot tell myself from one tall tree.
Then I know nothing touches me nor makes me run away.
My help is in the mountain.
That I take away with me.
Yes.
Mm.
And this and in Psalm 121 it says, "My help is in the mountains. My help comes from the mountains."
Mm.
And so now we have Na'aseh Shalom, a song.
Na'aseh shalom ba'olam, na'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam, v'inu shalom. Na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam, na'aseh shalom. Na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam. Na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam. Na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam. Na'aseh shalom, na'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu.
Thank you. Thank you. So now we usually do the Kiddush, and the Kiddush is in the Sukkah. Now, I would say that during this weird time of COVID, that our own houses, besides being our natural shelter, are also our protection, So since we're all in our houses, I would say, let's call for tonight, let's call our own homes the Sukkah. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we say the Kiddush for the Sukkah, Kiddush in the Sukkah for Sukkot. So we're on page 7. So you are to keep the festival of Sukkot for 7 days after you have gathered the produce of your threshing floor and winepress. Rejoice at your festival, you, your children, and all who are among you. Sukkot is a holiday of hospitality. And the Zohar, the ancient book of Jewish mysticism, instituted the tradition of ushpizim, the guests, symbolically welcoming the important personalities of Jewish tradition, one set for each of the 7 days. Okay, so on the first day of Sukkot, well, first of all, the Zohar it's a book that was written in the 17th century. And it is the basis for Kabbalah. It has a lot of the rules and the laws for Kabbalah and Jewish understanding of what that really means. So these are mystically coming to our Sukkot. So on the first day, we welcome Abraham and Sarah. On the second day, we welcome Isaac and Rebecca. On the third day, we invite Jacob and Leah. On the fourth night, we welcome Joseph and Rachel. On the fifth night, Moses and Miriam. On the sixth night, Aaron and Deborah. And on the seventh night, David and Ruth. So what a lot of congregations do when we have the Ushpizin is they ask people, if you were going to welcome somebody into your sukkah, who would it be? So I'm going to ask each of you to think for a moment. And if you were going to welcome somebody, I would say somebody important. I know we all welcome our mothers and fathers and grandparents and that, you know, we all welcome them. But I'm thinking of somebody, you know, important. Who would they be? So I'll give you a second, and then if somebody wants to start, we'll start.
Me? Can I
Yeah.
speak? It's Barbara.
Yes.
I would invite Joe Biden and hope that he can get a lot of wisdom and blessings in the coming year, because he's had such a hard time up to now.
Yeah. Thank you. Joyce, did you have somebody? Are you muted?
I love what, she said, about Joe Biden. Yeah, he's having a tough time. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah. Murray, do you have someone?
Yes, Bernie Sanders.
Bernie?
Bernie.
Because
yes.
You agree?
Yes, I love Bernie. Yes, I do.
He needs some religion.
Anyone else?
I second that.
Okay. So we have we need 7 people. So let's see if we can get 5 more.
Rabbi, I would like you, because you have so much knowledge to share. And I think that would be lovely.
Okay. Well, I never
second that.
never looked at myself as part of the Zohar mystical tradition, but if that'll get me to everybody's sukkah, I would gladly do that. But thank you. Anyone else?
Well, I always felt bad that only Leah and Rachel are mentioned, but what about the handmaidens who, after all, also gave birth to some of the tribes of Israel? I think they deserve to be mentioned as well.
Yeah, that's good. Good thinking.
I would invite Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein. Okay, good.
Would anybody like to invite the current Pope?
Sure.
Well, you could invite the current Pope.
Yeah, he's having a little bit of a hard time too.
Right.
He's trying.
Anybody else? I would like to invite Judge Ginsburg, Ruth Bader
Oh,
Ginsburg.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That would be nice.
I was
Are we
thinking,
allowed to invite people who are deceased?
Well,
yeah,
Albert Einstein is deceased.
well,
Oh.
these people are,
So those are the handmaids.
okay, you, anybody else?
I think so. Give a big thumbs up.
Yeah. So we continue. Community, if you have it, let's read together. By inviting
These guests
and by
naming other important guests as well into our sukkah, we're simultaneously reminded of where we came from, who we are now, and what we aspire to be.
What we aspire to be. So we are grateful and joyful that we are here together as one community and able to celebrate this special time. And we say Shehekianu,
Anu,
Anu,
Hikimanu, Vihikianu, Lazman Hazeh.
okay.
I already had my wine.
That whenever we show our gratitude for the coming of events that we've anticipated, and how we give thanks also for our life. So now we have our wine. So I'll get wine for Kiddush.
They're getting up again.
So let's get together a blessing for this wine. Let us bless
Let
our
us bless our lives with joy, passion, and plenty. Let us create a healthy world, the fruit of the vine. With it, let us drink
I am
l'chaim to life
Life
on this festival of Sukkot, season of our joy.
now bread. We have challah.
Oh, I can't find mine.
So bread from the land, fruits of the earth have sustained us in the past and will sustain us in the future. Everyone together, let us
seek and be satisfied with little.
little.
Let us
Let
hunger
us
for life
buy
and
and
not
not the unessential, so that
So-
we all may be satisfied
And
and sustained.
sustain. Let us
Let us bless the sharing of this simple food. Let us bring forth food from the land for all of us to enjoy.
if only we could make this happen, huh? For everybody, yeah.
I mean,
why do you think we can't? I've been asking myself this question. Why is nowadays, why is it so contentious? Why is the world so crazy? I mean, why
Indeed?
when we use the words of the Bible, not, our Bible, the New Testament, we use these sacred words against each other. You know what I mean? We do we really even believe in what we say we believe in? I was thinking that the other day, how can we say we believe in God?
Yeah.
Well, we don't, but I mean, other people who are, the interesting thing is it's the humanists that are the most Christian, most compassionate to other people.
Agree with that.
Why is that? It should be equal. So I don't know, is the role of always been the role of religion just to be a power that controls people, or I don't know. I don't get it. But in this country now, it's almost, I was having this discussion today with one of my friends, and he said to me something, and it kind of chilled me. And he said, I was driving in my neighborhood, and he said, and I saw these American flags on every house. And he said, they reminded me of like what terrorists, like using the American flag as, a means of making, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't in Germany during World War II, but I could imagine that there was a certain kind of feeling like that, where people would say, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. Should I wear a mask, or will somebody attack me for wearing a mask in a store? Or, I don't understand. People don't get science. They don't get, they rely on superstition, and I
don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, Rabbi, it struck me when you said the holidays have always changed their dates because of wars, always wars. And
Yeah.
I have been so cynical about our species. We are so warlike. It's just the whole history of man. Where you pick up a history book, it goes from war to war to war.
Right.
Conquering.
Yeah.
And
Well, maybe it's time to get more women in power.
Absolutely.
But there have been women who aren't. I mean, I think, generally speaking, I agree. But there have been women also who have been tyrannical or hypocritical, or so I agree we should, and generally speaking, it would be better, but that's not the 100% answer. Humans are very complicated.
Yeah, we're human. We are very complicated. I get that.
We're gonna last.
Yeah. But women are, they're bearers of life, they're nurturers, you know what I mean? So there's a kind of, hopefully there's more of a maternal way of dealing with people than men might have, you know. I don't know. I mean, we have
Depends on the woman.
in you know, in politics now that are doozies, you know, there could be, you know, worse than men in some.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. So whatever it is, I just don't understand why the earth has resources for everyone. You know, everyone on earth could live comfortably if we just shared it, you know. It's
So
just,
there's something wrong with human nature. I mean,
That's what
the way we were, I don't know how we came here or how we're made or whatever, but we are definitely, it's flawed from the beginning, from the very, and even you go back to prehistoric, it was always fighting with the dinosaurs. It's just it's a sad part of human or the earth.
and yet here we are reading these words. You know what I mean? This also comes from us.
Yeah.
You know, this also comes from us. So we do have this capacity of understanding, empathy, and love, and
Makes it so sad.
nurturing.
We have it. We have choices, but somehow in the human nature, we don't always make good choices. I mean, I like to believe that in the end, maybe we will, but we destroy our planet. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know. Is good gonna outdo evil? I don't know. It's complicated. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was having a discussion with my daughter tonight on the phone, and we were talking about human beings, and we were wondering what the opposite of evolve is.
Evolve.
Evolve.
Devolve.
Do you think we're devolving, Dimitri?
Yes.
Extinction.
Well, actually, if you read about the way chimpanzees behave, it's really not that different. Same thing. They kill each other. They have intertribal warfare.
Yeah, they do.
So it's the primates. It's our, you know, biology. That's what, you know, how evolution shaped us. It's going to take thousands of years to change nature, the biological nature of humans.
So do you think eventually chimpanzees will write the Torah? You know,
if you put like 100 million chimpanzees with the typewriters, then they
Right, yeah.
years of life of the Torah, yeah. English translation.
We won't have tribes, but we can have them, you know, type them, or we'll have, on iPads or something. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, human beings, most, it's not black and white. Most human beings that, even Hitler, I'll take, to people he loved, he was good. So it's very complicated. I don't know how it's all going to end up. I think we're going to end up destroying each other, most likely. Yeah. But, you know, you can't say, unless somebody in the brain is totally psychotic.
Yeah.
We're a balance. We could be good. We could be evil. We could be nice, not whatever. Is the earth going to survive?
You know what? I do think so, because I think people are good, basically. I mean, I think people are really good. It's just our base nature has to be controlled, you know, and there's so much fear, you know, and I think hatred comes from fear, we fear what we don't know, and we don't want to know, but we don't want to learn. We don't want to know what Jews are like. We don't want to know what blacks are like. We don't know what our families will do if they intermarry into our families. We don't know. But there will be a time when we do know, because our earth is shrinking and people are becoming more together, and
But then why is there more hatred? I don't feel that way in a way. It's like we're more divided than ever.
Yeah, but I think young people are more open,
That I agree with. I
We're
agree with that.
we're witnessing the death pangs of one kind of a civilization, and people are really struggling to keep it power, but they really kind of know that it's kind of useless because it's not going to happen. These people are not going to happen. There are just too many other people that will not let that happen. And so
You're right.
it might not happen in my day. I don't know, but I have. I want to have hope that our children are going to live in a peaceful world, that our grandchildren will, and the only power that we have as parents and grandparents and mentors and rabbis and teachers and whatever is to constantly talk about ethics and goodness of people. We have to constantly say that. Everything. I know when I was a teacher, I wound up giving the morality lessons all the time, because kids could be really, really cruel. They could be the cruelest to each other, and if they're not taught that you can't be this way and it's not right to be this way, people have to tell them that.
And you teach empathy.
Yes, we have to. We have to do that. And, I remember giving a class once, and we were talking about the poor. And one of my students said to me, I never saw anybody who's poor. I don't know what you're talking about. And I said to her, you don't really even know who's poor. I said, we can have poor people sitting right next to you in this classroom, and we don't know that. We don't know that, and I started a club where we donated money for the kids to go shopping. In our club, we had them cut out coupons from the Sunday newspapers. They have clipped out coupons. And I said, this is our club. You're going to have to take these coupons and go to the supermarket. I gave them $100, but all the kids. I said, I want you to buy as much food as you can with these coupons. And then we had St. John's Church was in our neighborhood, and they had a food pantry. And I said, and you're going to go bring them to the food pantry, and then you're going to, for extra credit, you're going to volunteer at the food pantry. I want you to an hour, whatever it is, and we'll give you credit for doing that. And they did it. And they, but you have to lead them. You have to teach them. You have to lead them to do that. And unfortunately, we're so now caught up in this technology and that we don't even interact physically with each other anymore. Now with the COVID, of course, we have all this other stuff happen. Anyway, I don't want to belabor this too much, but I thank you, all you guys, for coming to Sukkot, and happy holiday to you. And we have our Shabbat is on October the 5th, right, Dimitri?
I think
8th, October 8th.
Friday night, the second Friday in October.
And the day after, on Saturday, we will have a public program, also virtual one.
Right. And we'll have Hadala at that.
Invitations for that as well.
Dimitri, is that similar to the in-person tour that some of us took in Jewish Harlem?
Well, in the sense that it's also about Jewish Harlem, but it's an illustrated talk. You may remember Marty Schneid
Of course.
Very innocent historical. He's done several presentations for us. He did, I think, one virtual presentation for us as well last year. And
Yeah.
he's done several in-person presentations. He's a very good speaker.
Yeah, he
and he does
so
great PowerPoint
good. He's so
presentations. Very good.
I mean, you love him when you see him. So
I know.
please,
Yeah.
yeah, and tell you about it too. Okay, buddy. Well, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Rabbi.
Bye-bye.
Nice to see you all. Thank you.